Monday, Fumble fam. Thanks for tuning in today. We are talking about LeBron James and how people are calling him out for contradicting some statements that he made last season. And we are also getting into something that Jerry Jones said. Oops, sorry about that, you guys. My computer started making noise. Something that Jerry Jones said that a lot of people are very unhappy about. But before we dive in, subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
Good morning and happy Monday, everybody. I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter @JRayTheFanatic.
So Jackie, give us the update. How's the packing situation? How was your weekend? Fill us in.
The packing is very, very slow. We're not out. Yeah, my post up is weird right now because I'm posting up all these boxes. Like if you could see right here, I've got like all these boxes right here, which I probably should have planned that out a little better because that's actually my doorway. I'll figure it out. But I've only got like my kitchen and half of my office. I didn't realize how much crap I have in my little office area. So I'm like downsizing that. So I've got my kitchen all done, half of my office. I'm going to finish the rest of my office in the living room today. I feel like the bedroom is going to take forever because I am horrible when it comes to laundry. Like I'll wash just enough to get me through the week instead of like doing a full laundry. I don't have time. So I'm going to have to do all that laundry. It's going to be horrible. But it's going good, though. It's going good.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you accomplished a lot. The fact that in the span of a weekend, you've been able to pack up your whole kitchen and even start working on your office stuff, like that's really good. For me, I feel like I always end up waiting until the last minute and then I'll have my dad come over and help me. And I'm like, Dad, can you do it? Because I don't want to do it anymore. Like I'm over it. But that's not a good thing for me to do. Not a good daughter. Well, you guys, what'd you say?
How was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good. What did I do? Oh, I did commentary for a boxing match on Saturday night. Yes. And it was my first time doing any sort of commentary, and you know what was really bad about it was that once I got to the event, I started to feel absolutely terrible. Like I was overcome with feeling sick, and just the music was so loud, there were so many people, and I felt awful. So I had to not only do commentary for the first time ever, because I've never done like play-by-plays of anything before, but I also had to do it while I was feeling really, really, really sick. So that was not fun at all. But I think it went well. I think
Is there video of this somewhere that we can see?
I haven't even asked. I'm scared to watch because I know how bad I was feeling. So I don't know what it was like. I didn't ask to look at it or anything. But if I find it and it's worth sharing, I will let you know, Jackie. But it was quite an experience. I'm bummed that I felt so sick during it. But, you know, sometimes that happens. But you got to power through. I think I'm pretty good at hiding when I feel bad. Because I've been on this show before when I feel terrible, and I know you have too, Jackie, and yep. I don't know if anybody can ever really tell when we feel sick.
I don't think so.
You got to turn it on. You turn it on for the hour that we're live, and then you can go back to feeling horrible afterwards. Anyway, let's get into the news. Let's talk about LeBron James because people are calling him out for being a hypocrite. So he was able to suit up again for the first time after missing, I think it was 20 games for that high ankle sprain, but unfortunately the Lakers did still lose their last two games. LeBron even left the game against the Raptors with soreness in his ankle, and that happened with just, I think, 7 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. So it's definitely not the kind of thing you want to see happen with somebody like LeBron James. At the time, the Lakers were trailing by 16 points. They did manage to cut that deficit to 6 points with just under a minute left, but he still didn't rejoin his teammates on the court because he was still feeling pretty bad. So the Lakers currently have the same record as the Trailblazers, though they do currently hold the tiebreaker and remain in the number 6 seed for the Western Conference. They have 8 games remaining, but falling to the number 7 seed would mean they have to go through the NBA's play-in tournament in order to advance to the first round of the playoffs. And it's pretty unsettling for Lakers fans. Jackie, I know you agree with me because we hoped that we would be going into this season as repeat champions. But of course, that's seeming less likely now that we've fallen so far in the rankings, and now that we've had LeBron and AD both suffer injuries. But let's discuss these contradictions about the play-in tournament. So back in March of 2020, when we were still in the pandemic hiatus, there was no basketball going on, LeBron was in support of a play-in tournament for the playoffs. Now we have this headline here. It says LeBron James wants a play-in tournament for final NBA playoff berths. And he said, quote, "One thing you can't just do is go straight to the playoffs because it discredits the 60-plus games that guys had fighting for that position." So, Leo, if you can throw the second asset up there for us so we can see his quote there. It should be asset number 2. Yeah, so one thing you can't just do is go straight to the playoffs because it discredits the 60-plus games that guys had fighting for that position. So at the time, the season was put on pause because of the pandemic, and he didn't think it was fair to just pick the season right back up where they left off, go right into the playoffs several months later because it was such a big break that we had. But now LeBron feels that the play-in tournament just doesn't make sense. He said, quote, "Whoever came up with that shit needs to be fired." We have that tweet, Leo, if you can show that right there. And then that, of course, caused a lot of people to call him out. So there were a bunch of responses on Twitter. The first one says, "LeBron switched up real quick about the play-in tournament." There's this other tweet that says, "LeBron James thinking about the play-in tournament when he figured the Lakers would be a top 6 seed versus now when they could end up in that 7 and 10 seed tournament." And then there's another tweet here that says, "Honestly, tired of the Lakers quotes because none of them have translated into increased individual effort or focus outside of a couple guys. Words are wind, need to see them backed up by actions." So just for clarification, for those of you who maybe are not super familiar, the NBA added a new play-in tournament in which the numbers 7 and 8 teams face off, and the 9 and 10 seeds will also face off against each other. The winner of the 7 and 8 games advance to the first round, and the loser of the 7 and 8 game plays the winner of the 9 and 10 game to determine the final playoff berth in each conference. Now, I personally don't feel like this is such a hypocritical statement from LeBron, because what we were dealing with during the pandemic was a completely unusual circumstance. So I would understand why he would be in support of a play-in tournament then, but not necessarily now. So but I want to hear from you, Jackie, on this one. Do you feel like he's just salty that the Lakers are now falling so far in the rankings and they could be the ones having to participate in that play-in tournament? Or does it make sense that he would have a change of heart here?
So this is interesting because at the beginning of the season, I had said something similar. I had said I fully understood why the play-in happened last season because we were thrown this curveball with the pandemic. We took this huge hiatus, and it just wasn't fair, especially in the West, because things were just way too close. And if you were only going to you weren't going to allow the same number of teams in as you normally would, then the play-in made sense. So I was 100% for the play-in last season, but when this season started, there was a lot of things I didn't like. Number one, if you're saying it's okay to go back, then it needs to be okay to go back to normal, which means we should be having an 82-game season, and we shouldn't be doing this play-in, and it should be done as normal. I was not a fan of the way that we're doing it now, because what the league was saying, in my opinion, is like, we're good to go. And if we're good to go, then we're good to go. And there's a period at the end of that sentence. It's not, we're good to go, but we're still going to act as if we're in the middle of a pandemic, because that just didn't make sense to me. It's not the intensity of that play-in situation where with the frequency of the games and the back-to-back and the strains that it has on the body, it just didn't make sense. That's how I felt at the beginning of the season. But then again, nobody listened to me then, because I was like, it doesn't make sense for us to do this differently. Either we are going to stick to this whole, the way we did it in the pandemic, but at that time, Adam Silver was very much like, we're good. Everything's going to be fine. We've got this under control. Then we have it under control. Play the 82 games and have everything as normal. But then everyone told me I was tripping, so I let it go. So now here we are at the end of the season, and it's like, okay, I don't think it's hypocritical because I said this way before LeBron said it. It didn't make sense to me then. I thought it was a fantastic idea last season. Especially when we got to see, because if it hadn't been for the bubble, none of us would have really appreciated Devin Booker now the way that we do, because we really needed to see his greatness at that moment. So the bubble worked out for different reasons, and we needed it because we were missing our sports. It worked at that time. But if we're moving back to normal, my thing was we needed to move back to normal. I don't want to say the person who came up with this idea needed to be fired, because at that time it was a good idea. I didn't think at the beginning of this season that it was a good idea. So obviously I'm going to stick to that now, because I said this at the beginning of the season. But when I said this at the beginning of the season, I said this on the Opposite Reaction podcast, and Nick and everybody else was like, no, because it's still a pandemic. I'm like, but is it though? I mean, sports wise, is it? If we're getting back to playing, yes, the world is still going through a pandemic, but are we, as far as the athletic side of it, going through a pandemic? Because if we are, then we shouldn't be playing. If it's that serious, we just shouldn't be playing. So when I said it then, people drug me the way that they're dragging LeBron now. So I'm liking that the energy is the same. Be consistent with this energy. But, you know, what he probably shouldn't have said is that person needed to be fired. Because I do agree with the sentiment. It's a different time. If we're going to be playing, let's just play. But no, don't say the person needs to be fired. Because it was a good idea at the time.
Right, and even LeBron agreed it was a good idea at the time last season. It made sense for the circumstances that we were in and that these players were in, but now I understand why he's had a change of heart. I get that. Do you feel like this is panic time for LeBron and the Lakers, Jackie, just especially after seeing these two most recent games?
LeBron's not going to panic, because in his mind, he's like, well, if I don't get it this year, I'll get it next year. But everybody else is going to panic. Everybody else who knows that we're playing with the 36-year-old LeBron, and the way that he's playing right now is unheard of at his age. And Father Time is going to catch up at some point. He's already said that he will never again in his career, you know, at 36, be 100%. And we know that, like you said, he was out for 20 games and then he had to go out. So Frank Vogel and everybody else is panicking, because what we have seen is, I don't know, who said this? Oh, I did. You cannot win a championship without a 100% healthy AD and a 100% healthy LeBron James. And what we're seeing now, even before he went out, he was very squeamish, I guess is the word I'm looking for, as far as his ankle. He didn't power through like he usually does. He worked as he could, but he did not power through. And I hate when people say no excuses. An injury is one of those things that if you can't come back from, it's not an excuse. It just is what it is. And you know, the Lakers absolutely do need a healthy LeBron James and a healthy AD to win. And I saw Andre Drummond, and he actually stepped up last night in a way that I haven't seen him step up before, and I was proud of him. But there was so many things wrong with the Lakers outside of that. Number one, the energy immediately changed when LeBron went off the court. And I haven't seen this kind of energy from the rest of the Lakers that say, hey, we can win without LeBron James. I haven't even seen that mindset in the way that they play. Number two, KCP, he stays in the corner. He plays and this is the thing that bothers me, and I say this all the time, when you watch the WNBA, they play more fundamentally sound basketball because everybody plays their position greatly, but they also know that they have to play at all times. KCP, he'll stay in that corner waiting for the three shots to come to him. He won't go in under the rim and try to get the rebound. He does not do that. Kyle Kuzma, when he shoots that outside shot, his arm stays up. When I was playing ball, if you did that, my coach used to make you practice the rest of the game with your hand in the air. And you still had to defend, you still had to do whatever. But if you shot that shot and left your hand up, that's how you had to practice for the rest of the game. Because her thing was, no, you shoot the shot, you follow your shot. We saw that so many times in the NCAA tournament. Kids were shooting the shot, following their shot, getting their own rebound, and then scoring. When you don't have the best player in the world on the court, you need to make up for that. Kyle Kuzma and KCP go two missing for me. So I don't know if LeBron does not come back 100% healthy. I think we'll get through a play-in. Let me be clear on that. If LeBron is playing, I think we get through a play-in. But if he's not 100%, and I'll take a 90%. If he's not at 90%, we absolutely do not make the Western Conference Finals. So we need to figure that out, because we've seen in this situation that it's LeBron or bust at this point.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. But what makes me feel nervous about all of this, Jackie, and what you just said is that, like you mentioned earlier, even LeBron said that he's not going to be playing at, full to his fullest potential as he would have been at 36 years old, which makes sense. But then what does that mean for the next few years of his career? in the NBA? Are we going to be able to see LeBron win another championship, or do you think those dreams are potentially dashed at this point?
No, I'm like I said, I feel like he's not worried about it. If he doesn't get it this year, he'll get it next year. I'm not worried about it because he'll have the off season to regroup. I saw somebody in the chat say something about Gasol. Gasol is terrible. I'm sorry, he is slowed. He is not a 36-year-old LeBron. He is a normal 50. It's probably how he's playing. So he's not. That's not the guy. And I definitely agree with Andre getting more minutes than him. What I did find interesting about last night is I don't know who did not pounce on Kyle Lowry, but that should have happened before the trade deadline. And that man proved why that should have happened, because we would be in an entirely different situation if Kyle Lowry was on our team. I 100% believe that. And then I think the Lakers just missed the moment, because here's my thing. You have to understand that as great as LeBron is, he is a 36-year-old man playing full speed in the NBA. So you have to have a backup plan. You have to have somebody like Kyle Lowry that's just 100 miles running, and he scores very, very well. You have to have a guy like that on your team for when LeBron either A, needs to take a rest, or B, he gets hurt. That's all there is to it. It's a game of endurance, and you need to make sure you have somebody out there to endure. And so this is one of those situations I'm not going to be, sure, I'll be disappointed because I love all things LeBron, but when you look at the numbers and you look at how we're continuing to slip, and when you look at how they just have not figured out who they are when LeBron is not on the court, I just don't see us going to the Western Conference Finals. I just don't see it. I want to see it. If I had to put my money on it, I'm still going to bet on my Lakers. But this is money I'm going to lose.
I like your commitment, Jackie. I don't think I would be betting at this point. It's a tough pill to swallow, and I don't want to lose any cash. I already don't have enough of it as it is, so I can't say that I'd be doing the same, but, I appreciate your loyalty to the franchise. It sucks. I was expecting the Lakers to go far this season, but I just think there's been too many obstacles and hurdles to overcome, and things aren't looking good. But let's move on. Yep. Let's talk about Jerry Jones here, okay? Because he made a promise that I think a lot of people are pretty upset about. So when Jerry Jones is happy, I feel like he tries to make the players that he likes the best happy as well. And last night during the draft, the team traded back and selected Micah Parsons with the number 12 pick. So during his time in college, he wore number 11 as a linebacker at Penn State, and he said that he would like to continue wearing the number 11 when he's in the NFL. The only problem is Cedric Wilson already has that number. But apparently not anymore. So on Friday, Jerry Jones suggested that getting that number to Micah won't be a problem at all. And so we've been talking about the newly implemented rules for the NFL and jersey numbers, and linebackers are allowed to wear numbers 1 through 59 and 90 through 99. So Cedric, I guess, is just out of luck. But some reactions on Twitter. Leo, can we throw that first one up there? So this was the announcement. Jerry Jones all but assured Micah Parsons that he was going to get number 11 from Cedric Wilson. What negotiation, he said. And then there's another tweet that Leo will put up there in just a second. People reacting to this news. Wow, the disrespect. Man, Jerry treat his players like ish at times. Let's get to the next tweet. Jerry needs to stay the hell out of that, regardless what you think or feel about Wilson. He's a vet, and number 11 is his number. Let the players work this out like they do on the 31 teams without interference from the GM owner. Another tweet that says, that's low even for Jerry. That's a player issue. Let them work that out like the grown-ass men that they are. I think that was the final tweet there. So, Jackie, what is your reaction to Jerry Jones making this promise?
I hate Jerry Jones. I mean, that's pretty much the short of it. I hate Jerry Jones, and I hate saying that because I used to have a great relationship with Jerry Jones. I used to see him all the time at camp. We used to actually have conversations. This man, and I don't know if it's his age. I don't know if the older he gets, the less of a damn he gives. I don't know. But this is, to me, because Cedric's only in his second season, and he hasn't even had the time to develop. He hasn't even had the playing time to develop for that squad that he should. And I think it's just, the level of disrespect, what people are saying, I think it's absolutely correct. It's just a level of disrespect. And here's the thing: whoever said that they need to work it out, I could see something like that happening. I could see them sitting down and dude being like, "Dude, I didn't even wear this number in college because I don't know if Cedric wore it in college or not." But I could see. I think he didn't, if my memory serves me correct, but I don't know. But I could see him saying, "I don't have any loyalty to this number." I doubt any real jersey sales have happened of his jerseys, So I could see them easily just saying, "Hey, yeah, you can have it," and they can work it out amongst themselves. But there's a difference between two men sitting down and having a conversation and saying, "Hey, I'd love to wear your number." "Oh, sure, man. Say less. You wear it." Versus Jerry Jones and his totalitarian mindset coming in and doing the same thing when he said, you're going to tote the line, you're going to stand there, and you're going to do whatever, and treating grown men like children or property rather than, people who can make up their own mind. It's a very Jerry Jones thing to do, and it's gross. I can't stand that man.
Yeah, I know it did just seem like he took a little too much liberty with this to make that kind of promise. I guess it's possible that it's something they may have already discussed, but I just don't know. I don't think I feel like there's a very slim chance that actually happened. But yeah, I think it's just shows Jerry Jones making these dumb decisions time and time again, and not really thinking anything through. So I agree with you, and I agree with the reactions that I showed you guys on Twitter. Doesn't seem like anybody. Robert Anderson says put them in the circle, and if he can get the jersey off his back, then he can have the number 11. What do you have to say to that, Jackie?
I mean, I'm not trying to start off my Monday with this level of ignorance. Give me another one. Give me a different one. I can't. It's Monday. It's too for the stupidity. I'm not ready.
Okay, let's talk about Stay Mad. Stay Mad says Jerry Jones is a money maker. Let him make money. I don't know what that has to do with literally anything, but
but that it doesn't have anything to do with anything except for that is definitely who Jerry Jones is. I cannot remember what the circumstances was, but Jerry Jones did a real bonehead move, and he was on the radio, and they were talking to him about it. It might have, I don't remember what it was. It was when Michael Irvin was still in the league, so it was a long time ago. But I remember the reporter specifically said, "Jerry, this was the bad thing to do. Like, you do understand that, right?" And Jerry said, "Is it though? Because you're talking about it, and every other network is talking about it. So as long as people are saying, how about them Cowboys, whether it's good or bad, I've done my job." Because in Jerry's mind, as the more people talk about the Cowboys, the more that equates to dollar signs. So Jerry Jones literally does not give a damn. As long as people are talking about the Cowboys, he is good. So while I don't think that statement from Stay Mad necessarily equates, it is very much who Jerry Jones is. And I could see these two guys already having a conversation about it. And Jerry was like, "Oh, no, that was too nice. That was too amicable. Let me throw some shade in here so people are talking about it." Because otherwise it wouldn't have been a conversation. We would have just seen, him wearing the number 11. We would have gone on because, like I said, Cedric's only in his second season. We don't know him well enough to really care. It would have gone unnoticed. We wouldn't have been talking about it, and no one would have cared. Jerry's like, "No one's going to care about this. Hold the beer. Let me." So it could very well be a situation like that because that is who Jerry Jones is.
True. That actually was going to be my next question for you. Like, if this were to happen with other players, would it receive the same reaction, or is it just because Jerry Jones went to the media and made it such a big deal and acted so kind of stubborn about it that people are talking about it as much as they are?
This is probably happening on other teams right now. There's probably guys, because, we had a deep draft class, immense talent in this draft class. So a lot of guys probably want to wear their numbers. So conversations are probably happening from player to player right now on probably every team. We're not hearing about it because not every team has a crazy, I need everybody talking about Cowboys like Jerry Jones on their squad. But I'm telling you, it's probably happening right now. But Jerry's like, y'all just going to do this and I don't get to share no glory in it? No, absolutely not. Let me fix that right now. I think that's how that went.
Well, you got to give it to him. He definitely knows what he's doing then when it comes to making headlines and kind of like clickbaiting the Cowboys as a subject line. But that wraps up Need to Know News. So, Jackie, what is happening in the post-up?
Yes, let's get to the post-up. We might need to have Jerry write some headlines since he is very, very good at clickbaiting because I think that's exactly what happened with that. But This one is funny to me for a lot of reasons, and we're going to get into it in a minute. But I definitely do echo this sentiment because Jason Tatum, if you guys didn't see it, he dropped 60 points on the 30th, and he dropped 33. That was against the Warriors, and then 33 against the Blazers last night. They did lose that game, but still, Jason Tatum is out here doing the thing. And Tristan had this moment. If y'all can't read lips, I'm sure y'all can read lips because he's over the top with how he says it. But watch this exchange between Tristan and Jason Tatum. If y'all didn't see that, he was like, "Yo, daddy's a bad man." I love this, but this is why it's funny to me because I was like, I wonder if he just means in basketball or if he means, hey, you know what? Your dad can stay loyal. He doesn't cheat on his girl. He's actually, that we know of, he's actually a good dad. He don't have hoes in different area codes. Your daddy is a bad man. It might not just be basketball, y'all. He might be talking about the totality of Jason because, Tristan could never be that kind of guy. Devin, I know you have something to say about that.
I definitely do have something to say about it. And what I was going to say is this is exactly what I would say to True Thompson. I would have to go up to that cute little girl and say, your dad is a bad man, and I am so damn sorry that you're in this position, True. I feel bad for her.
It's unfortunate because she's going to grow up one day and be on like paternity court or something like that, talking about, this is my dad, but I've got 8 sisters, and he may or may not be the dad because he's just out there like that. It's crazy. But here's the other funny thing. With all the shade that I expected to see about this, and I did expect a lot because it's Tristan and his business is always out there, man, the COVID police is still in effect. I didn't know. I thought they were dying down, but this guy says all I see is potential COVID spray. But, I second the sentiment. Wouldn't it be late to think about that? They don't play the whole game together, practice together, sweating all over. Wouldn't it be a little late to be concerned about that? Okay. COVID police, also, they still employed.
Also, at this point, people are getting vaccinated. I can't speak for anybody. I can't speak for Tristan or Jason or literally any NBA player except for Karl Anthony Towns because he posted about it. But, once you're fully vaccinated, which some of them may be, there's no risk. I don't know. I think people need to just settle down.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, we're not. But I told you my best friend's cousin got it. The second shot, and then I know they say it's like 2 weeks to clear, but she got COVID 4 days later, 4 days after her second shot. So I'm just throwing that out there, Devin. You do with that information what you want to do with it.
Wow.
All right. So, okay. Speaking of my bestie, I have a quick yet very appalling story to tell. I was with her this weekend. I was shooting something for her YouTube page, which it's going to come out soon, but so we're talking about, she asked me who would my second favorite player in the league be besides LeBron James. And I said, it's a toss up between Russell Westbrook and Damian Lillard. And she straight faced with all sincerity looked me in the eye and said, who is Damian Lillard? So I about fell on the floor. I felt so hurt and so appalled. I didn't know what to do with that information, but that leads me into this one because, like I said, this is. I just love Dame with all of my heart, mind, and soul. Oh, Kobe fan, I see you. Thanks for the $4.99. Love Laker Nation as well. But we're gonna talk more about this on my new show that's coming out on Wednesday, which is Challenge Accepted. But there's this article that was written by Chris Hainsworth that basically says the Knicks are eyeing the situation with Damian Lillard, and if he becomes available, they are going to pounce on him. But he wrote it in a way that made it seem like it's possible that Dame would also consider this situation. And NBA Central picked it up, and they posted this, and this says the New York Knicks are watching for an opportunity to pry Damian Lillard from Portland. Per Bremen, the Knicks likely would be willing to trade 3 or 4 of their first rounds in a deal for Lillard. That means they can hold onto Barrett and Opie. So that didn't go over well with teammates. Yes, Gary, he's also a rapper. She didn't know that either, though. She didn't know that either. But anyway, so let's go on to, because this next tweet shows that his teammates are like, nah, man, Nurk was like 3 or 4, more like 34. And then he hashtag stay me 70, which is Carmelo Anthony's clothing line. So they're not going for it as far as their teammates, but I have a whole nother opinion on that, which I'm going to save until later. But this fan seems to think that if Dame really wants to stay on this loyal train and say, you know what, I'm going to stay in Portland forever, that's short-sighted. He said, look around to see how long it takes to rebuild. 8 to 10 years at least, and it's not guaranteed. Even the Lakers and Celtics takes years. During those rebuilding, you risk losing the franchise, moving to other cities. Sac almost lost the Kings. Seattle lost to Supersonics. So he's not only saying this is short-sighted because you're not going to win there, but if they keep losing, they might even go to another city. So that's a bold statement. Devin, what do you think about this? Do you agree, though? Do you think perhaps Dame is shooting himself in the foot by not even wanting to consider going to another team?
Yeah, I think he is for sure. I mean, we want to see Dame win rings and be successful. And I think if it's not going to happen with the Blazers and he's unwilling to explore other options, he is shooting himself in the foot. Obviously, his legacy is great. And he'll be remembered as an excellent player. But it means so much more, I feel like, when they do have championship wins under their belt. So I would like to see Dame leave. I feel the same way about Bradley Beal, and both of them are just, so loyal to a fault almost. Same with Steph. If the Warriors don't get their act together, I would be thrilled to see Steph move somewhere else where he has another shot at winning a ring. So I don't know. I appreciate loyalty, but you can be loyal to a fault. And I think we see that in these kinds of players.
Yeah, again, you guys have to tune in on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Shameless plug there, because I definitely have some opinions on that. But Devin, I've got to see how you feel about this one, because even though my friend did not know who put Devin back on the screen, because I got to see her face when I tell her this. Even though my friend did not know who Damian Lillard was, even though a Hulu commercial came up, she was like, "Oh, who's that? Is that?" And I was like, "Yeah." She still didn't know. But then I'm showing her a highlight reel of Dame. Enes Kanter flies into the screen, and she goes, "Oh, that's Enes, though, right?" Explain this to me. How do you know Enes Kanter, but you don't know Damian Lillard?
Wait, who is this person? Where is she from? I don't understand.
I couldn't wait to see your face on that one. I told her, I said, I'm gonna tell everybody on the Fumble that this happened, putting all your business out there, and as promised, I put all her business out there, because I don't understand how you know Enes Kanter, but you don't know Dame Dollar. She was like, "Why is his nickname Dame Dollar?"
Oh, please. It hurts. But wait, did she ever explain how she knows who Enes Kanter is? Like why? Where did that come from for her?
I think it was, she said that when he was talking about how he couldn't get out the country or couldn't go back to his country or something like that, that's why she knows him. But still, he runs into frame and you immediately recognize him. That was one story in time. I don't get it. But let's move on. I promised her I was going to put her business out there, and so I had to fulfill that promise. But let's move on to this next one, because this is my forever crush. Michael Vick is always going to be the guy that I crush on, although Jaylen Brown is a close second. But yes, this is my guy, and so I'm so glad on this next one, because he's out here. My man is 40 years old, you guys, and he is still out here running. He Patrick Mahomes posted this to his site after this was posted that said Michael Vick really ran a 4.72 in the 40-yard dash at 40 years old. And Patrick Mahomes says, "Man, he is still faster than me." I don't know if that's hard to do, because when I think about Patrick Mahomes, I don't think about somebody being fast. But that's just me, because I thought this was the cutest, the most adorable way to clap back at this and say, he's faster than me. But a lot of people didn't really consider Patrick Mahomes being fast anyway. And this person said, "You're the slowest fast person I've ever seen in my life." And I totally agree with that, because I just, I don't see him as being fast. But apparently Patrick Mahomes is not as slow as I think, because one person said that he ran a 4.8. Which is crazy to me. He says, "Hold on, Pat, you ran a 4.8. And Patrick Mahomes said, "I be running scared in the game. That's why I look so fast." So I had no idea. that Patrick Mahomes ran a 4.8. So thank you, Twitter, because if it had not been for Twitter, I wouldn't have known that Patrick even ran that fast. I thought he was slow. Not like slow. Y'all know what I mean. Anyway, so let's go on to this next one because the accuracy of this next tweet. If you guys don't know, the Derby, the Kentucky Derby was this past weekend, and of course that's where everyone comes out and they wear their best threads, and it is what it is. But the accuracy of this tweet from what Tom Brady is wearing versus Aaron Rodgers is shameful to me. It says Aaron Rodgers looked like he's at the Kentucky Derby about to arrest Tom Brady. Now, Devin, to me, this looks like, so Aaron Rodgers would be Tom Hanks and Tom Brady would be Leonardo DiCaprio in Catch Me If You Can. Does that not look like this?
I think that is the best description you could have possibly given this photo. Even just the way Aaron Rodgers is standing and like with both hands on the fence or the whatever it is, the fence, just looks like he's about like looking out trying to arrest the bad guy. I think it is so funny. You're absolutely right.
I feel like he's got something in his ear, like, I got him in my sights right now. Should I take the shot? And I'm like, this is the best description of that photo. I just, like, oh my God, Aaron, don't let him outdo you like that. This next tweet though had me kind of cracking up a little bit too, because you got another one?
No, let's read the tweet, and then I have a question for you, but I want to hear what this tweet is first.
Okay, so this one is great too, because it says the difference between a truly successful career versus an underachieving one, despite Rodgers being the more talented of the two. So he's basically saying that even though Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback, that Tom Brady is the more successful. So do I agree with that? Theoretically, yes. I think that Aaron Rodgers is definitely the more physical, more agile, he can move a little bit better than Tom Brady. But I think they're both great. The only reason Aaron Rodgers isn't the GOAT is because he hasn't won like Tom Brady. But Devin, what are your thoughts?
I have another question that I want to ask you, Jackie. I just want to jump into it real quick because Aaron Rodgers showed up to the Kentucky Derby with his entire team, even though we've heard that there's been a lot of like tension between them. So do you think that they're really on as bad terms as the headlines were making it seem like they were last week, or is his issue solely with the GM and the front office?
Yeah, I read that as well. And for me, that was one of those, hey guys, this has nothing to do with you. You still my boys. I still love you guys. I still rock with you guys. But everybody from the coach on can kick rocks. That's kind of how I took that. Because sometimes it is like that. We've been on jobs like that where, y'all love everybody, but you over there, So I think that was just more of a, hey, no matter what happens, you guys are still my boys and I still love you. I think that's what that was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I like seeing that. I think that's a good move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you never want to go out on bad terms with your teammates. Because it has nothing to do with them. So I like that. I like that. And I see you, Aiden, in the chat. He says Aaron is a top 3 quarterback of all time. I'm just searching my memory banks real quick. I think I'll give him top 5 for sure. Maybe top 3. I'll circle back to that one. All right. But anyway, let's move on to this next one. Because this one had to happen in the later rounds because I love me some Myles Garrett too. I really, really do. But I did not see this, because if I would have seen this, I would have been all on Twitter like, Myles, no! But this is terrible. And he has such a nice physique. But this is look at his whole. That's a suit. That's a sweatsuit. Let me point that out, because that's the first thing I thought. I was like, why is he wearing a sweatsuit to the draft? Because it's so tight. That's what I assumed. No, that is a regular suit. It's a medium. It's too tight. I don't know why he would wear a suit this tight. This is appalling to me, because this is my guy. This is my guy. ESPN didn't have any words for it. They just did the, big eye emoji. They were like, Myles Garrett suit. Like, what? That's all I know how to say. This is... Okay, so then this next tweet, this one bothers me so much. He said, that damn thing fit, busting at the seams. Jesus, he's a big boy, eh? So, yeah. If you didn't know he was a big boy before... This suit definitely points that out. And this next user probably said what everybody else thinks. He's like, we got to test this man's pee. Because how are you this big? How are you this big? But why? Is there nobody in Myles' camp that could have said, that's a little tight. That's a little tight. Nobody? Devin.
You know what I thought? So when I first saw this picture, it looked to me like he was wearing one of those Halloween costumes that you blow up around your body because, to look like you're whatever, the Michelin Man. And I know he's a big guy, but I looked at that and I swear, I was like, why is he wearing one of those suits? It just was not a good look for him. Poor guy. I feel terrible.
And then it's the smile for me. Like, I'm up in here in this medium suit, but I look good. It's the smile for me. Like, stop it. Stop it. It is awful. And I love him so much, but no. Anyway, okay, let's get to this next one because this next one is also quite hilarious because I was completely confused. Our producer put this in our rundown and I was like, okay, what's happening? She goes, make sure you look at the whole thread. And she's like, you got to scroll to the end. So this is the first tweet I see where I want you to remember this one because it says, we're in trouble. He says, ha, 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 you're an a-hole. That's his friend, right? So then I see that. I scroll to the end of the tweet, the whole thread, and I see this. Somebody clapping for him. There goes Devin's man again, Leonardo DiCaprio. And I was like, what the hell did I miss? What just happened? She loved her Leonardo DiCaprio, so I had to throw that in there. but after I read way too many tweets, I had to read too many tweets to figure this one out. But finally, I find this guy. This is Buck Army. And he says, hey, D-backs, my roommate is on a date 6 rows above home plate. Any chance we could tell the cameraman to zoom out a bit so I can see how it's going? And the Diamondbacks were like, oh, say less. We got you. Because this is what they posted to their tweet. And it says, you're welcome. So I don't know if you can see that they're there and that. So I got the next picture, which kind of shows them on their date. It's a blown up picture. And look, so they saw that. They saw the tweet and they did it, which I thought was outstanding. It's quite amazing that they actually did that. But everyone now wants an update, of course, as you can imagine, because this is the update that says, but the question on everyone's mind, is there going to be a third date? So I guess this was their first date. I guess this next one was the second date. So now everyone wants to know if there's going to be a third date, which is a very good question because we love around here. I think I got one more tweet and it says, if this isn't their most liked photo on Instagram by tonight, I'm going to be upset. And my favorite part of this is the Diamondbacks responded to that and said, if it isn't our most liked photo on Instagram, we are going to be upset. So they want all this love. There's so much love going around on this thread. Shouts out to the Diamondbacks and whoever was paying attention to Twitter to make this happen. I did not see this coming. This was fun to investigate on my end because I was like, what is happening? But this was fantastic. Devin, what do you think about this?
I thought it was very sweet, but I did look at some of the tweets in response to that last photo that you showed us of them sitting there, and somebody wrote, no, he's not getting a third date. Who wears a camera-shy hat on a second date? Apparently his shirt said his hat said camera shy on it. People were like, who? Yeah, that's what they said. I didn't look closely enough to actually figure it out, but I thought that was a weird logo to wear on a date, camera shy. Mm-hmm. It's a little strange, but also the fact that now they were surrounded by a bunch of cameras and their photos were being blasted all over the internet. Yeah, camera shy. Why is he wearing that?
What in the tarnation?
And also, I know you're going to a game and everything and you want to dress casual, but couldn't he have put on a nicer shirt than that, than just some graphic tee? This is my criticism of the whole thing. I love. I hope they fall in love, but I guess it says spring training, but still, couldn't he have worn a nice button up or something?
Who wears a button up to a baseball game, Devin? No.
A casual one. You're on a date. It's a date.
Okay. Now you've got me invested because now I need to see if he's gonna what happens if he's gonna go out on another date and wear a button up. Now you've got me invested into two people's lives that I don't know anything about, nor do I care. This is hilarious. But we love around here because this next one, I think we have another love story that we're just not gonna underestimate the power of love because this one is great. So we have a friend that made an assist on this. So let me just throw this up. The Kings with a love story. Let's just get this one because this tweet is going to set it up. He says, my boy, who doesn't have a Twitter, went to the Kings game last night with his girl. And now, before we get to this next week, it's the Sacramento Kings, which you guys know how bad they are, and you know how long they've been bad and what their record is right now and all the challenges that organization has faced. Keep all that in mind when I read you this letter that his friend wrote to the Sacramento Kings about who they are as an organization has helped his love grow with his girlfriend. So let me throw this next one up there. So it says, "Thank you for all your help over the past few years. Dear Sacramento Kings, I attended the Utah versus Kings game last night. I had great seats and enjoyed our wonderful arena. I went with my girlfriend, who is a relatively new basketball fan. She's a typical fan who fawns over superstars like Steph, LeBron, and James Harden, and the like. I had to explain to her this was not that type of game. After our 50-point loss, I thoroughly explained our history to her. That is why I want to thank you. When she heard that I am still loyal to this dumpster fire clown franchise, she vowed to never question my commitment and loyalty again. Sincerely, another miserable Kings fan." This is beautiful to me in so many ways, because it is proving that loyalty, however to a fault, might pay off in some way. Right, Devin? Yes? No? How you feel about this one?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a fan and a franchise, sure. If it's a player and a franchise, no. If it's a boyfriend to a girlfriend, yes. But yeah, I mean, I guess this is a good lesson in loyalty here. If you can stick with the Kings for that long, then you're probably going to be an honest, good boyfriend.
Yeah, I can see that. So, but I thought this was good. We love around here, but we're gonna go from all this love and happiness and perhaps future relationships to it be your own children sometimes that give you the most shade. I'm out here, I'm bringing my child to watch me kind of practice at the game that I love, and the shade that I'm getting from my child is terrible. Y'all take a look at this.
Trash! Trash! Bullshit!
Now that last one she said booty cheeks, but I think that maybe they captioned it that way because that's not what I heard. I heard BS. But I was thoroughly disappointed to see this man's child shading him like this. I had issues. Devin.
Well, you guys know, I've said it a bunch of times. If I love you and care about you, I am relentless about teasing you. So this is exactly how I would be with my dad, with my friends, with my boyfriend. So I appreciate it. If you can't take a little trolling from your own kid, then that's a you problem,
But when I do it as an adult, I'm doing it like, ha ha, funny, funny, funny. Kids are just being honest. This is an honest moment for this child. Like, you keep missing, you're trash. That hurts. That hurts way more than just ha ha teasing. It's all in fun. But me just being an honest kid, like trash. Like, that hurts. I don't care what you say, it hurts.
I think it's funny. This is totally how my kids are gonna be. My kids are gonna be little savage like trolls, and I'm gonna love it.
I'm gonna love it too, but I'm never gonna play basketball around your kids. I'm just gonna let you know that now, because that's trash. I'm gonna be like, Devin, damn it. Hurts my heart. It's gonna hurt. I don't care. All right, so we're gonna end with Devin and her savage kids, because that's all I got for the post up. And now let's get into what we're not gonna do, because this is one of those ones that you probably would think that I had a lot to say about it. But I'm at the point in my life where I don't think you can expect things to change if you don't change them by force, or in some way. I'm not at that point in my life. So even though we know that the NFL is predominantly black, we know that they have historically never, it's very rare that a guy from a historically black college makes it to the NFL. That is actually no different in this past draft class. So there was not one person, even though, again, the league is predominantly black, there's not one person that came from a historically black college or university. So, of course, that point was noticed, and the Undefeated posted this to their Twitter that basically said that. There were 259 draft picks in the 2021 NFL draft. not a single draft pick featured a player from an HBCU. And they said that's very disappointing. Obviously, it's disappointing. But at this point, I cannot say that it is surprising. This has been the thing since the dawn of the NFL. So this is not surprising to me at all. What was a little surprising to me is Miss Becky here. She came in and she says that she used to recruit for colleges. And she says it's not because the NFL is going out of their way to not pick people from the HBCU. She says it has to do with the level of competition. It's the ranking of recruits out of high school and the quality of coaching they receive afterwards. Grambling used to send guys to the NFL, but the program is not what it was. Time to rebuild those programs. So here's the problem with this. Because the ranking also comes, first of all, the ranking of college football is horrible anyway. It doesn't make a lick of sense because it's not based on things that make sense. It's a bunch of people that sit around. I think including Condoleezza Rice at one time was on the on the committee of people who rank college football teams. So the ranking doesn't make a lick of sense anyway. So that's number one. Number two, because it doesn't make any sense and because these HBCUs don't have exactly what we've been talking about for quite some time, they don't have the eyes, they don't have the television presence, a lot of them don't have the facilities because they don't have the money that these other colleges have. That doesn't at all speak to the level of talent that they have, though. We're talking about circumstances, not talent, and those are two totally different things. There was a young man that he did tweet back at her, and I didn't post his tweet just because, there's a lot of profanity in there, but he basically told her to kick rocks that wasn't true. And the thing that he pointed out in his tweet, which I thought was very important to note because it's a factual statement, they do have an HBCU combine. So the NFL does host an HBCU combine. That in itself tells you the problem with that because the HBCU combine is not in conjunction with the regular combine. It is an entirely separate combine. So they have this combine with HBCU students, which HBCU students do go, but 99.99% of the time, no one from the NFL goes to these HBCU combines, nor does the NFL require any teams to go to these HBCU combines. It's as if the historically black colleges are creating an opportunity for the NFL to come, hoping that they will, but nothing is being done to actually enforce this and make them go. Because still, to me, it makes zero sense to me for a league to be predominantly black, but you're not getting your talent from predominantly black schools. That doesn't make a lick of sense to me. So Deion posted this to his Twitter as well. So he kind of echoed that, and he's the same thing, that there is not a single player. 259 people. You trying to convince me that not one person from an HBCU had enough talent. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. So he also posted this picture with a caption that I really love. And he says, "And we have the audacity to hate on one another while our kids are being neglected and rejected. I witnessed a multitude of kids that we played against that were more than qualified to be drafted. My prayers are that this won't ever happen again. Get your knife out of my back and fight with me and not against me." And so that's my message to everyone watching this. And this is not a message for everyone. This is a message specifically for black people, because I have heard black people time and time again talk about what Deion Sanders cannot do. Oh, he's only one guy. He can't change it. He's only one guy. Jackson State's facilities are trash. He can't fix that. He can't do this. He can't do that. I have heard more people say what Deion Sanders, who literally saw a problem, and instead of just talking about a problem, he decided to not only get involved in solving the problem, but insert himself squarely in the narrative where he can do something to change it. And I've heard more black people talk about how he's going to fail, why he can't succeed, and make up all these reasons about Deion Sanders instead of saying, hey, damn, Deion Sanders not only sees there's a problem, He's out there trying to solve this problem by putting his name and his coaching talents on the line. And instead of talking about Deion Sanders, we need to figure out, all of us and who care about this topic at all need to be trying to get in touch with Deion Sanders and saying, hey, I have this idea. What do you think about this? And I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. There's a lot of stupid questions in the world. I know people say that there's no such thing as a stupid question. that's not always true, but there's no such thing as a dumb idea, because as dumb as I might think your idea is, it's probably going to spark something else in me. Like, that's the dumbest idea in the world. If you're going to do it, you should do it like this. So even though I never call people's ideas dumb because of that, because every idea that has come to me that I've thought that's ridiculous, it's always sparked some other thought process in me. So even if you don't like Deion Sanders and what he's doing, even if you think it's all for naught and it's going to be a waste of time, the fact is he's doing something. Go to this man with more ideas, or put your money where your mouth is if you're one of these people who have that kind of money. And if you think, oh, well, it's not going to help because the facilities are trash, donate some damn money, not just to Jackson State, but to all the HBCUs. Get involved. If you're a professional athlete, go out there and help Deion coach these kids. Not at Jackson State. Deion's already there. Go to another HBCU. But Deion is absolutely right. Stop saying what he can't do, because that's the knife. The knife of doubt is one of the worst knives that can ever be impaled into your back. The knife doubt, that's terrible. Don't doubt this man. Help this man. Shoot out ideas, good or bad. Shoot them out, and let's try to help. So now what we should do is create a combine so big, we should have every form of black media at that combine, that the NFL will look like complete buffoons if they don't start coming to get us from us. But stop doubting this man and stop hating on this man. I 100% agree with him, because what we can't do ever in life, black people, is get to the next level if we don't get there together. Outside forces are not going to help us. Outside forces, they're not invested. They don't have a dog in this race. It's literally up to us. What we can't do is keep hating on each other. Even if we don't agree with someone's methods, we have to agree with their heart and their desire to make change. We have to stand behind people like that, and we have to want to help in some way, even if that help is just a positive word. If you don't have nothing nice to say, y'all learned this in kindergarten. Don't say nothing at all. So that's all I got to say about that, and that's all we got for what we not going to do.
Well said, Jackie. Very, very well said. I really appreciated hearing that from you. And I think that Deion Sanders' message is a strong one, and it's a great one. We want to see more athletes going to HBCUs, but when they don't get the same recognition or the same opportunity as the ones that are going to the bigger football or basketball schools, it's definitely disheartening and it's discouraging. So I think that something needs to change for sure. And I think that Deion really, he said it well, as did you, Jackie. So I agree with you 100% on that one. You guys, we're wrapping up our show now for the day, but we're going to be back again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also, do not forget about the announcement that Jackie shared with you guys last week. Jackie, can you fill everybody in again? Let's remind them. Let's tease it. What's happening?
Yes, you guys, challenge accepted. I am so excited about this show. I pitched it. It feels like it's almost a year ago. I don't know how long it was, but we're finally getting started on it. I feel like it, right? We are shooting it. So challenge accepted. It involves you guys as well. So if you want to follow me at JRay the Fanatic on Instagram or Twitter, or follow the Fumble Sports, if you've got a sports idea or a sports thought process that you want me to talk about, there is a fan challenge where we will talk about your ideas as well. So make sure you check out the show on Wednesday so you can see how that kind of works. But make sure this Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the first episode of Challenge Accepted is going to premiere on our YouTube channel. I am so excited and I just can't hide it. Hey!
I'm so excited too. This is such a great idea, Jackie, and I've been really looking forward to seeing it finally come to fruition, and I'm so happy that that day is here for you. So Wednesday, you said at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right?
Yep.
All right. Wednesday at 1 p.m. You guys make sure you tune in, subscribe, tap the bell so you know when we go live and when Challenge Accepted goes up on Wednesday. Leave a comment below, share this video with your friends, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody.